good idea to take your Instagram content and auto-publish it to Pinterest. That's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's episode. I'm Emily Vales. I'm a Pinterest marketing expert and coach, and for the past 5 years, I've helped my clients and my students increase their traffic and turn into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. So let's start off with a little bit of history here. Years ago, you could claim your Instagram account on Pinterest. At one point, they essentially did away with this feature where you could claim that account on Pinterest, and it just kind of disappeared one day. And actually, one of my students brought that to my attention when she thought that maybe something was wrong with her account because she couldn't claim her Instagram. Well, it actually was just a feature that essentially disappeared. Pinterest didn't really make a grand announcement or anything like that. We just lost the ability to claim that account. So I went back and I updated my signature course, Pinterest Marketing Magic, and updated the lesson that explained how to do it, because at that point you could no longer claim that account. It wasn't something that I saw that made a difference in my Pinterest marketing strategy or my clients, to be totally honest. But for whatever reason, as we stand here in 2024, once again, you can claim your Instagram account. So if it's something that you want to do, I say go ahead, go for it. But at the same time, there are some things that I want you to understand so that you are following best practices when it comes to marketing on Pinterest and also repurposing your content. So I'm just going to tell you now that I do not recommend taking your Instagram content and auto-publishing it onto Pinterest. Now, maybe you've unintentionally been doing this, or maybe you have intentionally been doing this, but either way, I want to explain why. So when you take that Instagram content and you are publishing that to Pinterest, you're not really properly formatting it and optimizing it for Pinterest. Because of the way the two platforms, the way they work, not only is the content really formatted differently, literally size-wise, but also the way that we use them. So social media, Instagram, it is a social media platform. With Pinterest, it's a search engine. So the way that you're writing titles and descriptions, it's not the same way that you would write a caption on Instagram. Now, of course, social media actually has become more SEO friendly and more search-based over the years, and they continue to evolve and become much more intelligent. However, the way that we interact, the way that we use them, the intent when we go to those platforms, it still is different, and I truly believe that in order to see the best performance on each platform, whether it be Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, you do need to properly optimize it for that specific platform. Now, I do have a paid workshop called the Content Repurposing Rockstar, where I show you how I take my social media content and I do repurpose it for Pinterest. But it takes additional time because I'm not just auto-publishing it. So I'm making sure that I'm following best practices and that it is really optimized for Pinterest. But interestingly enough, I've actually seen a little bit of a decrease in the reach of my repurposed content from social media to Pinterest. So for example, I would take an Instagram reel or TikTok video, download it without the watermark, upload it and optimize it for Pinterest. And I will say, I actually have a couple of different YouTube videos that I will link below that actually explain this process and show you how to do that. But if you want the most in-depth and strategic approach, that content repurposing workshop is very helpful, and it also includes some resources, an Airtable document, so that's really helpful as well if you want even more training on that. But either way, I will make sure that those are linked below. But back to properly formatting it. Pinterest is a search engine, so you need to make sure that you're properly optimizing that content for the search engine and focusing on those keywords. So when you take something from Instagram and you just auto-publish it, you're not focusing on the keywords. And even if you are taking keywords into consideration when you're publishing that on the social media platform, those keywords are probably going to vary on Pinterest compared to social media. Because even though there might be some crossover in the keywords, the user intent is different. So people go to Pinterest with a problem and they're actively looking for a solution. They need ideas, inspiration. A lot of times people go to social media to be entertained, and you're not necessarily heading up to the search bar first thing. Whereas on Pinterest, a lot of times we are doing that first. We're going up to the search bar and typing in what we want ideas and inspiration for. So what I'm going to show you on my Pinterest account, I am going to show you one of the features you want to make sure that you do not have checked, and that will ensure that you're not auto-publishing your Instagram content to Pinterest, because that is really a misstep and your content's just not going to be optimized, and it actually will even appear wonky. So when we think about Pinterest, not only are we focused on keywords, but we have to think about the physical format. So for example, if you have something that is a carousel on Instagram and it's just auto-published to Pinterest, it appears really wonky and strange, and it just creates not a great user experience. I also have a personal example recently. So I've been making some updates to my house, and there were two different posts. One was, I want to say, a piece of furniture, and one was a DIY project. Both of them, I was really inspired and I wanted to go and buy that piece of furniture. In the other scenario, I was like, I want to go to this blog post and learn how they did this DIY project. Both of them were linked to Instagram, ironically. And both of them, it was a very poor user experience. So one of them, I clicked through and it said the link was broken, so I couldn't get the DIY tutorial. And then the other link, it did prompt me to open my Instagram app. So I'm like, okay, I opened my Instagram app and it takes me to my Instagram page. It still didn't take me to the place that I wanted to go, which was to get more information about that piece of furniture. So both instances, it was a very poor user experience. And what happens is, whether somebody has to open the app or the link is broken, you're losing that person. So that's the other thing too about auto-publishing that content, is it just really creates a poor user experience, and then that person is not going to save that pin. They're not going to ultimately go to where you're wanting to direct them to. And thirdly, people are just not anticipating going from Pinterest to another platform. When you do that and you take Instagram content and publish it to Pinterest, and you're trying to get people to go ultimately to your Instagram, if that's what you want. I do have people who have approached me who are influencers, and they'll say, I want to build my Instagram account or drive people to Instagram from Pinterest. And it's just not a strong strategy. First of all, like I mentioned, it can create a weird user experience, and sometimes the links don't work, etc., etc. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is that when people go to Pinterest, they're wanting more information, they're wanting a solution. And on Instagram, people can be still in a search and discovery mode a little bit, or mindless scrolling. And ultimately, I want you to think of those platforms as top of funnel. So we think of a business funnel, and people are in that kind of search and discovery, or just, interest, top of the funnel. We want, as a business owner, to get people down our funnel, ultimately where we can nurture them, and ultimately beyond that, where they can become a loyal customer. And when we take traffic from Instagram and shift it over to Pinterest, you're essentially shifting your traffic from one top of funnel platform to another top of funnel platform. I want to encourage you to think about how you can move people down your funnel using Pinterest. So for example, if people discover your pin on Pinterest, get them to your blog, get them to your lead magnet, get them to your product where they might actually buy. Now we're moving them down your funnel. And think about it, even if they go to your blog, maybe they join your email list where you can nurture them. Once again, you're moving them down that funnel, and you're not just shifting that traffic around. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I don't think that using Pinterest to build your Instagram presence is a strong strategy, but also, like I said, it's just a weird user experience as well. So if you have claimed your Instagram account and things have been auto-publishing, I want to give you a little quick tutorial on how you can uncheck that and make sure that that is not auto-publishing for future reference. So let's go ahead and check that out on my account. Okay, so here we are inside my Pinterest account, and how I got here, because you can see on this page I'm under claimed accounts. I logged into my Pinterest business account, and if you are wanting to market on Pinterest, you will need a Pinterest business account, but it's free and it's super easy to set up. And if you have a personal account, you can actually convert it to a business account. Like I mentioned, it's free. One thing that's kind of interesting, you can even go back and forth. So if you had a personal, went to a business, and then wanted to go back to a personal account for whatever reason, you can do that. So
fun fact there. So you need to go to, you'll click on by your profile picture, you'll click on this arrow down, and what you'll want to click on will be settings. And then under settings, you on this left side here, you will go to claimed accounts. You can see here that I have claimed my Instagram account. Now, one thing it will show you is select a destination to auto-publish pins. Remember, we don't want to auto-publish our Instagram content and pin that to our Pinterest account. You can select the destination. So if you decided to create a board that's Instagram content, I don't see any purpose in doing that. And it's also going to show up on your Pinterest account. And as I mentioned before, it just looks wonky. It's a strange user experience. So what you'll want to do is just make sure that this is not checked. So it says also auto-publish posts from the last 90 days. So I would not check that. I would not allow that. And that's the way I have it set up on my account. So if I wanted to unclaim it, I can click unclaim. But if you haven't claimed it yet, you will see that it'll just show like a red button and you'll walk through the steps of claiming it. I actually do have another YouTube episode about how to claim that Instagram account. So I'll link that below as well if you are wanting to learn more and actually see that process of how I claimed it. It's very simple, but if you just want to see those steps, then you can watch an episode. So let's go ahead and wrap up this week's episode.
So there you have it. Make sure, and I know it's painful to say, you are not just auto-publishing your Instagram content to Pinterest. I wish it was as simple as that, but it's just not a great strategy and it's not ultimately going to work well. You really need to optimize any content for that specific platform. So one pro tip I want to give you before we part ways is that if you do decide to repurpose some of those Instagram reels, you can learn more, like I mentioned in my paid workshop, the Content Repurposing Rockstar. But I want to share that you can repurpose that Instagram content for Pinterest, but instead of linking it back to Instagram, what I have done is I have linked it to other relevant content, such as a blog post, a YouTube episode, a lead magnet, or even a product. So when I'm repurposing it, I'm not actually driving it back to Instagram. So I just wanted to give you that little pro tip before we part ways here. So if you want to learn more about marketing on Pinterest, I would love to invite you to subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments what questions you have or topics you'd like for me to cover in the future. And I can't wait to see you soon in next week's episode. Bye for now, friends.